يقول الله في محكم كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الرسول بلغ ما أنزل إليك من ربك وإن لم تفعل فما بلغت رسالته. The first of our last salawat in honor of the greatest man to walk this earth, Al-Habib al-Mustafa Muhammad. The second in honor of the greatest lady to walk this earth, Al-Hawra al-Batulati Fatimah. And the third with your loudest voices, honor of our Imam, Imam Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman. Allah. Inshallah, to celebrate this auspicious occasion, which is Eid al-Ghadir, the greatest amongst all Eids that we have, and also a significant aspect, which is the 4th year anniversary that we've opened this center, which is named then, and what can I take from it to apply to my life now. So inshallah, the first we need to understand why it's the greatest of the Eids that we have. Now you go towards the school of thought and you ask how many are of the opinion that we to be a Eid for the Muslims. Some people attribute it to the fact that Imam al-Mahdi Ajjalullah Ta'ala Farajahu al-Sharif is noted. To understand the importance of the celebration, the Eid, let's take it back a notch to understand why we're celebrating, what helps us to celebrate. Ma'idah chapter 5 of the Holy Quran, 112 all the way to 114. Isa has Allah, we want to celebrate. How do you want to celebrate? It says, ask Allah to bring for us, to celebrate for the first of us and Allah. Then repeated this in his hands and says, oh Allah, bring down from the heavens a plate of food, in order that it becomes a Eid for us. Now, till now we find in the Christian school of faith or school of thought, in this Christian faith, you find it's on a Sunday that they go towards the church. It's called a celebration. And that Sunday is because that Ma'idah is the reason it came down from the heavens on a Sunday. Now let's take into consideration, this Ma'idah comes down to quench what? What exactly has it completed when this Ma'idah comes down from the heavens? It's in essence quenching people's hunger, isn't it? It's quenching people's hunger, they eat from it. However, because it was a miracle that Isa ibn Maryam asked from Allah to bring down a plate from the heavens, it comes down, then it becomes a Eid. Now, take that in the first note. For us, Eidul Fitr, it's the completion of what month? You're allowed to answer. Ramadan. We've completed one of the acts of worship, being fasting. We've completed the act of fasting all together, and at the end of it we come together to celebrate a worship that we've completed. Therefore it's a Eid, the one that we've just celebrated, which is Al-Adha. We find it was another form of worship when the people have finished pilgrimage. They celebrate with this Eid because they finished another worship. Now, to understand why Eid al-Ghadir is the greatest amongst all these Eids that we have, we need to understand two different levels within religion. The first being the roots of Islam. Then we have the pillars or the branches. People have different names for them. Now, under the branches we have all the different types of worship. Salat, Siyam, Zakat, Khums, Hajj, prayer. All of a sudden we have Eid al-Ghadir, which is Salah. When we have the roots, we find in Usul comes Tawheed, the oneness of God, Nubuwwah, prophethood, Imamat, which we celebrate in Eid al-Ghadir. Then we have Adala and Mi'ad, the justice of God and the day of resurrection. When we celebrate Eid al-Ghadir, we're celebrating one of the roots when Rasulullah lifts the hand of Amir al-Mu'mineen. When we celebrate it, it's to celebrate the fact that now we've completed the religion. How have we completed the religion? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states in the verse that we mentioned at the start of the lecture, He says, O Apostle, O Rasul, Deliver what has been revealed to you. Now you've got to remember and begin to understand that this ayah came down 70 to 80 days before Rasulullah passes away. 70 to 80 days before the Prophet passes away. So he's already taught salat, he's already taught siyam, he's already taught all the worships. And he's just finished his first and last hajj, which is the last worship that he taught his people. So much so that he brought forth everyone, alhamdulillah. He brings forth everyone from the Muslim Empire to tell them this is an act of worship that you need to learn. It's the first time I'm going hajj. And indeed it's the last. So the traditions tell us it came from the smallest tradition saying 90,000 people came to the largest saying 130,000 people were present in hajj. Now, when this verse comes, Rasulullah says to the people, everyone that have gone in front of us, the people that have preceded us and finished hajj, call them, bring them back. Everyone that's behind us, that's still lagging, bring them forward. I have an announcement. 70 to 80 days before he passes away, Allah reveals to him, He says, deliver the message. And if you do not deliver it, it's as if you have not delivered your message entirely. Allah is saying, if you don't give this piece of revelation, it's as if you didn't teach salat. It's as if you didn't teach siyam. It's as if you didn't teach any of the worships. That's how important it was. It almost comes across as a threatening message. If you do not deliver, it's as if you did not deliver the message. People till now, they say, well, Rasulullah left without appointing a successor. Rasulullah clearly states in the Quran, chapter 46, verse 9, he says, I am not a bid'ah from the rest of the prophets. I have not come with something that's new. As we know, people may think otherwise. They think Musa means Judaism, Isa means Christianity, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam means Islam. However, in our theology clearly states that this message in the eyes of Allah is Islam. Musa, Islam, Isa, Islam. It's a continuation, and the proof for that is the fact that if 124,000 prophets all came in the one place at the same time, they would not have one point. It's all the same message. It came at different stages, at different times to apply for different day of Ghadir that we celebrate when Allah to Rasulullah, He says, I haven't completed your message. I haven't completed for you your religion. When did the religion become complete? In Rasulullah raises the hand of Ali ibn Abi Talib. And he says, why not have a greater than they do on themselves? Everyone begins to cry and says, Bala ya Rasulullah. You have a greater authority. Then he says those words that are vital for every follower and lover of Ali, where he says, Man kuntu mawla fahada aliyun mawla. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So we begin to understand the importance of why this Eid is greater than any of the other Eids, how high it is on the scale. Now, let's look at what we can take home. What can we take away from this? Isa ibn Maryam says very interestingly, because nowadays if we have any builders in the room that can testify to this, people come forth and say the most important part of a building is the first brick that you lay. The first brick that you lay will be the most important. Isa ibn Maryam says the opposite. He says it's not the first brick that you lay that's the most important. It's the last brick that you lay is the most important. Why? Imagine a house, you've built a foundation, you've tiled it with the most expensive tiles. Let's say you put marble. You've made the walls so high, you've put the windows in, everything is perfect, but you don't put a roof on. Does anyone want to live there if it rains? The understanding is, When you finish something, you need to finish it with perfection. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't come together. It doesn't come to a point where it becomes perfect. And in this case, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I've been building since Adam, and now I've perfected for you your religion. And I have finalized my blessings on you with the wilayah of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Now, what can we take home? Amir al-Mu'mineen, we can't even be significance of this man. Rasulullah in himself, he says to Ali ibn Abi Talib, just understand these few points that I raise. Rasulullah himself says to Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says, Ya Ali, la ya'rifuka illa Allah wa ana. You know what that means? It means however we try to understand Amir al-Mu'mineen, however much we research, we begin to fathom, we say and we bring up from his rank, we won't reach who Amir al-Mu'mineen was, because Rasulullah himself says, no one will ever know you except Allah and me. And no one knows Allah except you and I, O Ali, and no one knows me being the Prophet except Allah and you. He was an embodiment of the Quran. That's what we need to understand. Rasulullah is perfection personified. Rasulullah, when he says something, it's perfect. But things that we need to understand, it's even in his gestures, there is perfection. What do I mean? When we look at the gestures of Rasulullah, there is a gesture that he says, Ana wa kafilul yatim kahatan fil jannah. He says, me and the sponsor of an orphan are like these two, doesn't he? And he points at these two fingers specifically. Understanding these fingers are the same hand. These fingers are at different levels. These fingers have different heights, but they are neighbors, but they're not identical. Understand this? But when he mentions the Quran and Ahlul Bayt, what fingers does he use? His gesture is perfection. He says, I leave behind two weighty things, the Quran and my Ahlul Bayt, my Ahlul Bayt, my Ahlul Bayt. You begin to understand it's the same finger, opposite hands, but it's perfection. It's an exact identical copy. Amir al-Mu'mineen and Siffin, when they tried to stop the battle, and Muawiyah begins to put the Quran on a speed, Amir al-Mu'mineen, what does he reply to the people? He says to the people, O people, do not let Muawiyah deceive you. He says, I am the talking Quran. I am me. Put that hand in hand with Surah Al-Mubahala, or Ayat Al-Mubahala in Surah Al-Imran. Chapter 3 of the Holy Quran, verse 61, when Rasulullah mentions Amir al-Mu'mineen. When he's saying to the people from Najran, the Christians, he says to them, تعالوا ندعو أبناءنا وأبناءكم ونساءنا ونساءكم وأنفسنا وأنفسكم. He says, bring forth your women, we'll bring forth our women. You bring forth your children, we'll bring forth our children. You bring forth yourselves, we'll bring forth ourselves. And he brings as himself Ali ibn Abi Talib. That's what we need to fathom and understand. That this person had such a great rank in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and indeed in the eyes of Rasulullah, that he became a mirror image of the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Amir al-Mu'mineen, when we begin to look at his knowledge, let's look at the knowledge of this great man. When Amir al-Mu'mineen, Abu Dhar narrates this tradition, he says, I went into a valley with Amir al-Mu'mineen. He says, this valley, when we entered it, look what we can take from this. He says, I saw ants in abundance as far as the eye could see. So I began to say towards Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says, how magnificent is this God? How magnificent is Allah that He knows how many ants by number are in this valley. Amir al-Mu'mineen, Abu Dhar narrates, he says, he looked at me and he said, do not say that. Don't say how great is this God that knows the number of these ants. Rather, you want to say how great is this God and how great is Allah that He created these ants. How great is this God that He created you in your being and your perfection. And look what he says. He says, because Ya Abu Dhar, by Allah, with His command, even me, Ali ibn Abi Talib, knows how many the numbers are in this valley of ants. And not only that, I know which one of these ants are male and which of them are female. what can I take from this great man? What can I take home from the wilayah of Amir al-Mu'mineen? That's what we need to take home from tonight, brothers and sisters. His enemies bear witness to him. Ibn Abbas, which is one of the enemies that narrates tradition, he says, what do I say about a man that is known to have been hearing the presence of Jibreel on a daily basis on his roof? What do I say about such a man? Abu Fadl al-Abbas testifies when he was threatened with Imam al-Hussein as they left Mecca without finishing pilgrimage. He goes on top of the Kaaba and he testifies to this. He says, know very well, O people, that you should differentiate between Yazid and Imam Hussein. Know in whose households wine is served and music is played, and in whose households the footprints of Jibreel lay. But the thing I want you to take home from tonight is an incident that happened between Imam al-Hussein and a poet by the name of Farazdaq. As you know, and we're approaching the nights of Muharram, Imam al-Hussein was trying to finish his worship of Hajj, but it was cut short because the people were trying to kill Imam al-Hussein. As he left Mecca, he sees Farazdaq. When he sees Farazdaq, Farazdaq approaches the Imam, Assalamu alaikum ya ibn Rasulillah, wa alaikum assalam. He asks him, he says, why do you leave early? We haven't finished. He says to him that they have ordered to kill me even if I'm holding on to the Kaaba. He said, I don't want to destroy the sanctity of the Kaaba, the house of Allah, so I'm leaving towards Kufa. So Imam al-Hussein asks Farazdaq, says, tell me about the people that you have just left. Look at the words of Farazdaq and look at what we can take from tonight. He says to the Imam, he says, their hearts are with you, but their swords are against you. Just think about that particular notion. Their hearts are with you, but their swords are against you. Let's take it into our perspective. Us, every single person here, without a doubt, can bear witness and testify that they have the love of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib in their hearts, without a doubt. They can testify. But let's look at our actions on the scales of the lovers of Amir al-Mu'mineen and the enemies. Let's look at our actions and let that be a metaphor for our swords. When Farazdaq says to Imam al-Hussein, their hearts are with you but their swords are against you, how about us? Our hearts are with the Imam of our time, Imam Ajjal Allah Ta'ala Farajahu al-Sharif. Our hearts are with him. How about our actions? Are our actions hurting the Imam? Because many of us will think to ourselves, well, if I'm sinning for myself. How does this sin affect my Imam? I'll tell you how. Imam Sadiq has a very beautiful statement. He says, and take this from tonight, and I end with this. Imam Sadiq says a very, very powerful thing that should strike everyone tonight. He says, a sin is a sin. He says, and a good deed is a good deed. And we understand that. But then he says, but a good deed from you is better. Why? Because of your connection with your Imam. You're counted as a lover, as a Shia, as a follower of Imam Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman. A good deed is a good deed, but because it's from you, it becomes better. Because people will say that good deed was by that person that follows Ja'far ibn Muhammad. So where does the sword lay? When we say our hearts are with you, O Imam, but our swords are against you. It's when we begin to sin. We just affect ourselves. No. He says a sin is a sin, but from you it's worse because of your connection with us. Because when they see you sin, when they see you lie, cheat, when they see you becoming dishonest, having a foul tongue, it becomes worse because it says that foul tongue belonged to a lover of Ali. that person had that particular bad trait, and he is known to be of the followers of Imam Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman. Our hearts are with you, O Imam. How about our actions? Where's our swords? Against the oppressors, against the enemies? Or is our actions against our Imams? That's what we need to understand, brothers and sisters. When we celebrate and remember such a great day, and we thank Allah for the blessing which is wilayah, the blessing that we can take home and complete this faith from 124,000 prophets, each with their wasi, each with their disciples, each with their missions, with their books. And it concluded with the raising of the hand of Amir al-Mu'mineen. We're thankful. However, we need to revise within ourselves, how much have we connected with our Imam, and how much in his footsteps are we following? And I leave you with that, brothers and sisters. Inshallah, I haven't taken too much of your time. But we pray to Allah in this blessed night, inshallah, that He allows us to be of the Shia, of the lovers, of the people that follow in the footsteps of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib, of the people that their hearts are with the Imam and their swords are with him as well. And we pray to Allah, inshallah, that He allows us to have this rank with a Surah al-Mubarakat al-Fatiha. But before it, 3 of your loudest salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. صل على محمد.